What does an animation producer actually do? What kind of skills are involved? And what does Thanos have to do with any of this? Stick around, I'm going to give you answers to these questions, and I promise I won't spoil Avengers Infinity War. Hey survivors, welcome back to Surviving Animation, your guide to making it in the business of cartoons. My name is Eric Calderon, and before I continue, I want to thank today's sponsor, Kenton Moore. Kenton is a novelist out of Vancouver who wrote a really cool book called Cloudbreakers. It's a steampunk fantasy type of series, so if you like that kind of thing, I'll leave the link to his Facebook page below, and if you directly contact him, he'll sell you his book. But let's get back to the subject at hand, which is the animation producer and Thanos. But before that, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and if you do subscribe, hit the notification button so that you can be made aware when I post a new video about the business of cartoons. Okay, let's talk about Infinity War. I mean producers. To begin, I'd like to remind you that I've been producing animation for almost 25 years. And although the official comic book lore varies, Thanos is also very, very old. But despite being a producer for so long and Thanos having been a staple of the Marvel Universe for decades, we have a shared problem. No one really knows what we do. For me, this stems from the lack of common cultural understanding of what an animation producer is supposed to do. And for Thanos, people just generally think he's big and...
He's purple. His magic glove. Doesn't like standing up.
So, to take a cue from how Marvel explained Thanos, I'm going to break down the various areas of responsibility that fall under the purview of a producer using the Infinity Stones as a metaphoric anchor for each of the magic skill sets. I hope this will illustrate how each skill is like Thanos having one of those magic gems in his glove, which makes a producer, and Thanos, progressively more powerful with each skill, or stone, added so that you, and he, can be the most powerful animation producer in the universe, or in his case, supervillain. It's not a perfect metaphor, but if you can think of each skill of a producer as a kind of stone that is required to make the magic of cartoons, then you can see how us producers snap our fingers and animation is suddenly and miraculously produced. But if a producer is missing one of these skills, then either your producer isn't up to the task or someone better find someone who has that skill and then add it to the team's glove, I guess. To take this idea to the nth degree, I'll also draw a parallel to the glove itself, which, as you'll understand by the end of this video, is the person or persons who ultimately can wield all of this power, whether they can handle it or not. Okay, let's get down to the individual skills. Animation takes money, and money means power, plain and simple. But spending cash to produce cartoons and the knowledge of finance are very different. So one important skill a producer utilizes is his or her understanding of money. Do they know how to creatively finance a project? Do they understand cash flow? Are they knowledgeable about financial institutions, government subsidies, loans, payroll, sweat equity, deferred payments? If the producer in question can answer yes to all of these, then they've got the power stone, the power of money. As you all probably may guess, some of the best producers in the business are also the ones that know people. They're the high-functioning super extroverts. When they go to a party, they leave knowing half the people's names and they've got all their business cards as well. On top of that, they've introduced themselves to a dozen people who will also remember them as smart, charming, good listeners, and good talkers. This ability to connect and have a wide network of marketable connections is kind of like having the Tesseract or Space Stone.
That's not bad.
That producer has the ability to instantly teleport you into any room to meet anyone you need to meet. In addition, they probably have deep knowledge of the politics and power struggles, and may even have deep-rooted alliances and spies on the inside. So if a producer has more than 2,000 professional contacts on LinkedIn, an iPhone full of organized cell phone numbers, and a propensity to professionally party, the Bluestone is probably theirs. But cartoons aren't just about money and connections. Once you have those, your show needs to be realized, which means the expertise of the craft itself is like having the reality stone. Animation production is complex and interdependent, which means a producer needs to know how a 20 to 200 person production is properly choreographed. Although this skill usually falls to the line producer or production manager, all the skills and knowledge around the process, the tricks and tools of the actual making, and the agility by which a production model can be altered are vital. With the skill of the reality stone, a producer who understands production can literally warp the seeming limitations of quality, deadline, and available funds to an award-winning show delivered on time and under budget. Like the Soul Stone, legal skills for producers are an underrated but essential toolset, And this is more than just the basics of contracts and deal memos. It also means being aware of animation union guidelines, understanding work visas, and even knowing how best to speak to lawyers, agents, and managers. I can tell you that when productions go sour or even slightly uncomfortable, it's common for professionals to slip into a dangerously legal-sounding argument. So producers gotta know when to be strong, the specific meaning of legal phrases, and also how to go nuclear when necessary. That means getting into the ugly world of breaches of contracts, terminations, and even lawsuits. To quote a line from Infinity War, again, no spoilers, "The Soul Stone holds a special place among the Infinity Stones. One might say it has a certain wisdom." Producers with legal chops can be wise and powerful producers indeed. Although the name producer may not muster images of creative genius, creativity itself and the ability to comprehend material is a prerequisite skill which you can parallel to the Mind Stone. The talent of a producer to understand the creative needs of the marketplace and how their own creative allies think is a potent ability. I honestly think it's uncomfortable for most creatives in the industry to work with a producer if they feel that producer just doesn't get what they're trying to do. And sometimes, creatives need a bit of moral support, reassurance, or even a change in direction when they're stuck. If a producer has the right mind for the project, all involved may feel witnessed and understood. And this is more than just a vaguely positive feeling. Getting what a show is about guides decisions related to staffing, production management, and marketing. For example, if a producer doesn't get that a show's humor is storyboard driven, they might not apply the correct amount of weeks and months in the schedule to accommodate this. Also, there's the occasional important role of the producer to sometimes be the creative arbiter, referee, and sometimes storyteller themselves. In actuality, when this side is strong in a producer, the relatively common hybrid of the writer-producer is born. It's actually what I am. I might not be the most visionary of them, but creative collaboration is definitely one of my favorite parts of the job. When all's said and done, and regardless of which skills a producer has, there's one final and very important thing to understand about producers and Thanos, and that's he who wears the glove. In animation terms, this equates to who's got the job title of producer and who the company is behind them. To take this even further, if you own one of the skills, sets, or stones, but if the person with the more powerful job title is suddenly the boss of your show, too bad. They're gonna snatch those gems away from you, and now they're in charge. Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. Alright survivors, I hope that gave you a basic idea of what an animation producer does, and like I promised, I didn't spoil anything about Avengers Infinity War. But if you'd like to continue this conversation, please feel free to leave me a comment below, or if you want to directly get in touch with me, you can find me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and Instagram. Alright, thanks for making it to the end of this video. Whatever it is you're trying to do in the business of cartoons, I am here to help you survive, and I'll see you in the next one.